How's it going, everybody? Sean, alcoholic. Um,
Hey,
thank you,
John.
5D, for having us out this month. I'm here representing the Pennsylvania State Conference of Young People in AA, of which Chester County, Pennsylvania, had the pleasure of hosting last year. The PennCPA is a statewide conference, as with it's been going on for, we are getting ready to host the 32nd one, well, which has now just been postponed to next year to be hosted by Lancaster. It's a statewide conference for young people in AA, gathering people from all corners of the state and from around the country and the world. And has been hosted all over the state for the last 30 some years. This this committee, this particular host committee that I was a part of, was a huge part of getting me sober early on. It's been a great example of service. They really scooped me up, and it was a really great example of what the program can do for you if you stay involved in service and put yourself out there to further the AA process and the program as a whole. My speaker tonight, Corey, he was one of the most integral parts of that in getting me involved and showing an example of what service can do in a YPA committee. He was with the committee for about 2 years prior to hosting, and just dove in completely in helping in whatever way he could. As we are now a service committee in Chester County, PA, having hosted last year, Corey's actually the chair of our service committee now and leads us in all service opportunities and outreach in the area. So with that being said, please help me welcome Corey.
Hey guys, I'm Corey and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Corey.
Can everybody hear me okay?
We hear you.
All right, cool. Sean, thank you for those nice words. You know, it's a true gift of the program to see people like Sean and other newcomers come in and dive in and keep both feet moving. And I've been able to develop an amazing friendship with them inside of AA and outside of AA. So thank you again for having me out to speak. I didn't realize there was so many people, so I'm kind of glad this is on a Zoom meeting. You know, most Zoom meetings where we're from is like 20 people, and then I just see the number climbing and climbing. So Sean forgot to tell me that little tidbit, so I definitely appreciate that. That's awesome. But real quick, you know, again, I'm Corey and I'm an alcoholic. I have a sobriety date. It's August 15th of 2017. I have a home group. It's the only requirement home group. We meet in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, Saturdays at 6:30. We're a speaker meeting. So if you're ever in the Chester County area, please feel free to come check us out. I have a sponsor. His name is David M. We've worked at 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I sponsor other men in these rooms. And I'm also in service as well. Like Sean said, you know, I'm the chair for the Chester County Committee of Young People in AA, which is now a rotating service committee, which we started this year. And I'm also an alternate advisor member for the PennCPA conference itself. So yeah, real quick, I'll kind of tell you what it's like, what happened, and what it's like now. I just wanted to say, for those who put their day count in the chat prior to me speaking, thank you for doing that, because it reminds me how quick I can be back there. Sometimes I get lost and caught up in everyday life, and I forget sometimes where I came from. So you guys, you know, you give me hope, you give me strength, so keep up the good work of all of you. Yeah, so, you know, I live in southeastern Pennsylvania. You know, I'll go over my childhood real quick. You know, grew up in a loving household. We were blue collar, never wanted for anything. You know, we struggled to make ends meet, but there was a ton of love in my family. I have 2 older brothers. I have a mom and dad. I have no drastic thing that happened to me as a child that makes me an alcoholic. You know, in my view, I was born an alcoholic. But looking back now that I have a couple of years sober, I had all the isms as a child. You know, my life was based off fear. my life was based off insecurities. I've heard it said in the rooms before, you know, I felt like everybody else got the playbook in life and I did not. And, you know, I never truly felt a part of anything. So I've kind of bounced around, you know, as a younger kid, figure out where I fit in, and I truly never fit in. Finally, about the age of 14, I had my first taste of alcohol. And again, up to this point, I was a shy young boy who was scared to talk to anybody, scared to talk to girls, scared to go anywhere. But I went to this party with my older brother. It was before high school, the summer before high school, and I had my first sip of alcohol. And immediately, all those fears, all those insecurities, they went away quickly. You know, after a beer or two, you know, I thought I was Rico Suave. I could talk to anybody. I thought I could fight anybody. I would come up with these grand ideas on how I was going to make money and rule the world. And immediately after having alcohol, I thought my life was saved. I thought I had finally arrived. And ever since I had that first drink, I always wanted to continue that feeling. So, you know, going through high school and the beginning of college, it wasn't like immediately I started off. You know, I wasn't drinking every day right away. I wasn't losing jobs you know, left and right. I wasn't losing girlfriends left and right. But every time I did drink, I drank to oblivion. And in my mind, that became the way I drank. I drank to black out. I drank for effect. All the time that I drank through my alcoholism, it was for effect. I never truly liked the taste of alcohol. I never liked beer. I didn't really like mixed drinks, but I truly loved the way it made me feel. It made all those isms that I had go away quickly. So I know I only have 15 minutes, so I'll just kind of go through a real quick of what you know what it was like. You know, my dad died when I was 19 years old, like 3 days after my birthday. Um, that was a big changing point in my life. I thought that there was no point in life. I thought that, you know, that here was a man who was a true man's man, worked every day, worked 2 jobs, you know, went without, and he died really quickly. And immediately once that happened, you know, I kind of started to fall down a rabbit hole. So I started to get hooked up with a group of people that drank the way I did. I started to get jobs at locations which allowed me to drink the way I did. And I started to take hostages in relationships via girlfriends to try to help me make myself feel better. And for those who don't know, you know, I didn't physically take somebody hostage, but you know, the way my actions were, the way I behaved, the way I emotionally abused people, it was almost like I did that. So over the next 5 or 6 years, it was a vicious cycle. It was meet a girl, feel good about myself, put on a good show for about a month or two, start drinking a little bit, start blacking out every night. She would put up with me for a couple years. She would break up with me. I would cry boo-hoos. I would cry to my mom. I would cry that I need to change. I would cry that I'm going to stop drinking, that this is it. About 2 months would go by, and I would fall and do the same things over and over. It's because I was never truly willing to accept that I had a drinking problem. Always in the back of my mind, I always felt like and hope that there would be something else wrong with me. You know, I remember at one point I was seeing a therapist, and you know, I wanted her to say like I was like schizophrenic or bipolar, because that would be more acceptable to me than being an alcoholic. I'd much rather take a pill and deal with it that way than have to look at myself and have to stop drinking. But unfortunately, you know, they never said it. They said I was kind of completely average, which made me even feel worse. So, you know, prior to me getting sober, it was just kind of, you know, years and years of changing locations, changing relationships. At one point, I see people in Chicago. I moved to Chicago. You know, quick funny story. I met a girl on a cruise. Thought I fell in love with her. A month later, I moved to Chicago to move in with her. Thought a new location, new people, new friends would make me get sober. But unfortunately, the sad part was I still took myself there. And what it did was it just made me isolate more. It made me drink more until finally she kicked me out. But prior to me getting sober, my brother had a wedding the weekend before, and it was a complete mess. You know, I was arrested Thursday night prior to the wedding for being drunk and obnoxious. And then again, you know, drank Friday night, drank Saturday at the wedding, drank Sunday. And then finally that Monday morning, August 15, 2017, I remember waking up, driving in my car and drinking a 12-pack of Budweiser and a bottle of cheap vodka. And I remember for the first time in my life, I did not care what happened to me. I knew I had this eerie feeling that something was going to happen. And it was either one, I was going to wreck my car and die, or two, I was going to get arrested by the police. And for the first time in my life, I could truly say that I honestly did not care. The good part was I did get arrested by the police. I got a DUI. And the next morning, I remember waking up from the DUI. It wasn't, oh man, I drank too much. Oh man, why did I do that? It was, oh man, why did I take that road? I should have shot home quickly. I should have not went on that road. That's how sick I was. I could not see that it was the drinking that got me to that point. Instead, I thought it was my bad decision of which road I went to. So that night, my mom forced me to go to my first AA meeting. Granted, at this point, I was 29 years old, and my mom was 56, at 58 she was, and she drove me to my meeting, slept in the car, and waited for me. And I remember going to that meeting and still thinking that I did not have a problem. I mean, in my mind, if you're 30 years old and your mom's taking you to an AA meeting and she's got to wait for you, there's something going on there. So I went to that first meeting, and I was, you know, super nervous. I probably looked like crap. But I started to hear people tell my story. I started to hear people share the experience and feelings that I had. And for some reason, and you know, this is the first God moment I feel like I had the courage to share. And when they said stick after the meeting, I actually stayed after the meeting. I walked up, I introduced myself, I told them what was going on. They gave me a recommendation of people I could connect with. And, you know, again, I did that. In my past, that was not something I did. I would be the last one in, the first one to leave, and would just kind of sit on the outskirts. And the one thing I the one thing I noticed about AA is you got to be in the center of AA. You can't be on the edges. So immediately, you know, we were talking about Pensy Sean was my friend Jamie. He told me that there was this conference of young people. He said it was going to be in like 2 weeks. And, you know, immediately my reaction was, no, 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 I can't go. Like, I got too much going on in my life. Granted, I didn't have a job. I couldn't drive. I was dealing with the DUI, but hold up. You know, I got to make sure that, you know, I got my things together. But he kept bugging me. He kept bugging me. And that's the hand of AA. The hand of AA was always there, even when I didn't want it to be. So I took the plunge. I went to Pensy with 12 days sober. It was nuts. They did all the chanting. They did all the screaming. I remember at one point, my mom told me if I go and it's a cult, to call her because she will come pick me up. And at one point, I was like, oh, man, I might have to call her. But I stuck it out, and it was, you know, an amazing weekend of my life. And it lit a fire in me about learning more about Alcoholics Anonymous. It made me want to learn about this program and give it a shot. So, you know, I got a sponsor quickly. We started working through the steps. I think by the time I came in, step one, I had already accepted I was an alcoholic. And I had already accepted my life was unmanageable. Step two, you know, kind of developing that higher power. I was super scared because, you know, I wasn't really a religious person growing up. I believed in a God, but I couldn't really define it. And I thought there was going to be some litmus test on, you know, theological ideas and understandings, and I was going to have to learn all this, spiritual talk. But my sponsor put it really, really simple for me. He said, just have a willingness. And when he said that, just to have a willingness and be open-minded, it made my life really, really easy. Moving on to step 4, when I got to step 4, I kind of hit a roadblock. I started to get hesitant. I started to get lackadaisical. And I think it was that fear and insecurity again of, being honest with another man of all the crummy things I did. But when I finally was able to do that step 4 and step 5 with my sponsor, it was a load off my chest when I could tell him something and he still could look at me and said, hey, I love you. Hey, I respect you. Hey, I did that too. And again, it just allowed me to keep going and keep pushing forward. And, kind of just to speed it up, because I don't want to take too much time. The main things for me in sobriety and to stay sober is 1, get a home group. Okay. If you're new and, if you're trying to do this on your own, get a home group because it gives you that accountability. 2, get a sponsor immediately because again, it gives you accountability, and call your sponsor because if you do that early on when you're still riding that pink cloud, when things start to get bad for you, you'll feel comfortable enough to make sure that you call him and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I'm thinking about drinking. 3, get in service. Service saved my life. I would not be here today if it was not service. Okay. Anybody that I sponsor, I tell them you're getting in service, not even a question about it. If that's not what you want, then I can't sponsor you because that's the only way I know. Service saved my life. If I didn't get involved with Pensy-Pop, I would not be here today because it was those men and women who showed me how to act in Alcoholics Anonymous. I did not know how to be a human being. I was a terrible person. I would steal from you. I would lie from you. I would do so many bad things. I would emotionally abuse you. I would physically abuse you. I had no limits. But if you truly asked me when I was drinking, I would tell you I'm the nicest person in the world because that's how sick my mind was. I could not see what my actions were. Yeah, so home group, sponsor, service, and work the steps, okay? It doesn't make quite sense to be in an AA, to be in a 12-step program and not work the steps. All right, I heard a speaker one time. His name's Kent C. He's from Sandusky, Ohio. And he told a cool story about how, he was saying how people come to meetings and you think, hey, that's it. That's all I got to do. I'm going to stay sober. And he compared it to people going to a bar and just sitting at the bar and just getting drunk from being there. Wasn't going to happen. You actually had to go to the bar and drink the beer. So definitely work the steps. And, it's been a crazy, crazy ride for me. My life in a short, almost 3 years is, it's absolutely amazing. I have a lot of, a lot of physical things. I met a girl in sobriety. We got married. Never thought that would happen. I was able to get my own apartment in sobriety. Never thought that would happen. I'm able to keep a job for longer than 6 months. Never thought that would happen. I'm able to pay my bills on time, which is crazy. I was telling somebody yesterday, it's a great feeling when a random number calls you and you can actually pick up now. You don't have to worry about, oh man, somebody's looking to hunt me down. I can pick up today and, deal with that phone call. But it's just not the physical stuff. I have a peace and serenity that allows me to do whatever I want to. The options are wide open for me. With everything going on right now, being stuck at home, I'm able to stay calm. I'm able to stay sane. And that's just by praying, having that higher power, staying in constant contact with people from the rooms. And I'm able to be a son for my mom. I'm able to be a husband for my wife. I'm able to be a brother to my brothers and uncle to my nephews. My oldest nephew, he's 14, and he's seen me drink before. My youngest nephew is now 2. and he hasn't. And that's a good feeling, you know, to be able to have endless opportunities and have a peace and serenity to go anywhere in life. It's an amazing feeling. But also, it's not all, you know, roses and unicorns. I struggle at times. The great thing about this program is progress, not perfection. And each day I'm able to get an awareness that allows me to see what mistakes I made in that day and allows me to be honest about those mistakes and allows me to admit them and move on from them. Right now, you know, with everything going on, I can find myself slowly taking my will back. I want to have more control. I want to be able to control the virus. I want to be able to control where I want to do. I want to have control of everything. And that's, you know, that means I'm not praying enough. That means I'm not talking to guys enough. That means I'm not doing enough meetings. But again, you know, I'm able to admit those flaws and I can be okay with it. And there's just things I can do to fix those. So if you're new to this program, stick around because a lot of people said it to me that if you stick around, you'll get a life beyond your wildest dreams. It is absolutely true. If I dreamt, if I would have got what my dreams were, I would have sold myself short, 100%. But yeah, stick around, stay after meetings, get people's phone numbers, call them because I'm sure you're helping them probably more than they're helping you. Yeah, I didn't want to take up too much time, but I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate Sean asking me. I appreciate Alan, you know, asking Sean. You know, Sean and Alan, great guys in Pensy-Paw, you know, always willing to be in service. And it's funny because when you get in service, you start to see people from all over the country and you start to recognize them. So now, not only do I have a family in Chester County, I have a family worldwide, and I feel comfortable to go to any AA meeting anywhere and feel like I'm home. So without that, that's all I got. Thank you.